In the annals of military history, there are few figures as enigmatic and controversial as Walter Model. Known for his strategic brilliance and unwavering resolve, Model's legacy continues to spark debate and fascination. Join us as we delve into the life and impact of this formidable military leader, whose strategies shaped the course of World War II. Walter Model was born in Saxony, the son of Otto Paul Moritz Model, a music teacher at a local girls' school. He had a brother, Otto, who was 7 years older. He belonged to a middle-class, non-military family. Model's decision to burn all his personal papers at the end of World War II means relatively little is known about his early years. He distinguished himself in the fighting in World War I around Butte de Tahor in September, for which he was awarded the Iron Cross, first class on 19th October. On 3rd November, he was wounded by artillery fragments in his right shoulder and spent another 6 weeks in hospital. He was wounded again on 26 April 1916 in the Battle of Verdun, this time by shell fragments in the right thigh. Model was promoted to captain in March 1918, after the First World War ended. In October 1925, Model assumed command of the 9th Company, 3rd Battalion, 8th Infantry Regiment. He later served in staff duty and lectured on tactics. In 1930, he became close friends with Friedrich Paulus and visited the Soviet Union for military training. Promoted to lieutenant colonel in 1932, he returned to troop duty. By 1935, he headed the 8th Department of the focusing on artillery development. He supported the creation of armored divisions. In 1938, he became a major general, but faced a setback when pro-Nazi officers were purged from the OK. He was reassigned as the chief of staff of the IV Corps in Dresden. Preparations for the invasion of Poland commenced in May 1939. The IV Corps became part of the 10th Army, which in turn formed part of Army Group South. World War II began in Europe when IV Corps crossed the border into Poland on 1st September. For the IV Corps, the campaign lasted only 11 days, but there was some hard fighting. On 28 September, the IV Corps was designated the controlling headquarters of the Lublin area. During the 1940 German invasion of France, the 16th Army, part of Army Group led by Field Marshal Rundstedt, protected the left flank with Czech weapons. General Model oversaw army changes and faced logistical challenges. Despite initially defensive, they achieved a breakthrough on June 11th, encircling 600,000 French troops by June 22nd. Model, though successful, was not promoted during Operation Sea Lion planning. Walter Model's rise to command the 3rd Panzer Division during Operation Barbarossa, where he showcased innovative training methods and strategic acumen. He successfully led his division in rapid advances, cleverly reorganizing forces for different tasks, and played a crucial role in key campaigns, such as trapping Soviet forces near Kiev. Model's adaptability and leadership contributed to significant successes on the Eastern Front during World War II. In October 1941, Walter Model took command of the Panzer Corps during Operation Typhoon, the assault on Moscow. Despite harsh winter conditions, he pushed towards Moscow, reaching within 35 kilometers of the Kremlin by early December. Facing Soviet counteroffensives, Model's flexible tactics and leadership helped maintain order during the retreat. He observed Soviet strengths in attacking strongpoints and adapted by utilizing artillery superiority and forming small mechanized units to counter breakthroughs. These tactics, though effective, incurred losses but laid the groundwork for Model's continued success in the war. In January 1942, Walter Model took charge of the 9th Army, bypassing more senior commanders, showcasing Hitler's trust in his abilities. Despite inheriting a chaotic sector threatened by Soviet advances, Model swiftly turned the tide. He emphasized frontline intelligence, continuous front lines, and centralized artillery command, implementing multiple defense lines despite Hitler's objections. Throughout the year, Model successfully defended the Rostov salient against relentless Soviet offensives, earning acclaim as a skilled defensive leader. Even while on leave due to injury in August 1942, he returned to command makeshift battle groups, showcasing his dedication to the defense. In March 1943, the 9th Army executed a well-planned withdrawal from the salient with minimal casualties, though Model's scorched earth tactics led to civilian deaths and condemnation as a war criminal. Despite this stain on his record, Model's strategic prowess and leadership during this period solidified his reputation as a formidable military commander. On July 5, 1943, Walter Model led the northern assault on Kursk during Operation Citadel, despite skepticism from some German commanders. Model pressed forward with the attack but faced challenges as Ninth Army struggled against Soviet fortifications. His tactical plan, focusing on infantry assaults before unleashing armor, proved ineffective, resulting in minimal progress and heavy casualties. Despite facing strong Soviet defenses, Model's decision to prioritize infantry assaults meant his losses in armor were lower than expected. On January 31, 1944, Walter Model assumed command of Army Group North amidst dire circumstances after the siege of Leningrad was broken. Implementing the shield and sword policy, he emphasized aggressive counterattacks to temporarily cede ground and gather reserves. Despite debate over its origin, Model's strategy led to a fighting withdrawal to the Panther Line. By March 1st, the withdrawal was complete, although costly in casualties. Model's tactics kept the Red Army off balance and bought time for his units. Promoted to General Feldmarschall on March 30, 1944, Model's leadership reflected his ability to adapt to challenging situations. On March 30, 1944, Walter Model assumed command of Army Group North Ukraine in Galicia, replacing Manstein due to Hitler's preference for a staunch defender. In June, he was tasked with rescuing Army Group Center, which was devastated by Operation Bagration. Despite the dire situation, Model attempted to hold Minsk, but Hitler's refusal to sanction a breakout or withdrawal led to its liberation by the Soviets on July 3rd. Model then aimed to establish a new front west of Minsk, but German strength was insufficient. By July 8th, he had been pushed out of Vilnius and Baranovichi. Facing fresh Soviet offensives, Model employed defensive tactics to hold Lvov with the 1st Panzer Army. However, the 4th Panzer Army's inability to stem Soviet advances led to a retreat. Despite setbacks, Model's forces encircled and destroyed the Soviet 3rd Tank Corps near Radzymin, halting the Red Army's advance just short of Warsaw by August 3rd, establishing a continuous front along the Vistula. On 17 August 1944, Model received from Hitler diamonds to go with his Knight's Cross with oak leaves and swords. In reward for his shoring up of the Eastern Front. Simultaneously, he was transferred to the West. Following defensive victories in the West, Hitler launched a last-ditch offensive on December 16, 1944, aiming to surprise Anglo-American forces and retake Antwerp. The objective was to isolate the 21st Army Group and erase the ground threat to the Ruhr. Initially successful, the offensive, known as the Battle of the Bulge, suffered from a lack of air cover, inexperienced infantry, and critical fuel shortages. While the 5th Panzer Army made some progress, Model failed to exploit breakthroughs, notably at Bastogne. Poor weather and terrain compounded issues, leading to massive traffic jams and a breakdown of the attack by December 25th. The offensive was abandoned. On January 21, 1945, Hitler issued an order personally limiting Model's operational freedom and forbidding any withdrawal of Army Group B to the Rhine River. Forced into attritional warfare with the Americans, Army Group B found itself surrounded in the Ruhr by April 1st. Hitler's order to declare the Ruhr a fortress and destroy its industrial infrastructure was ignored by Model. On April 15th, facing pressure to surrender, Model refused, citing his oath to Hitler and sense of honor. Instead, he ordered the dissolution of Army Group B, allowing soldiers to surrender or attempt to break out at their discretion. This decision led to public denouncement by Joseph Goebbels' propaganda ministry on April 20th, marking the final break between Model and the Nazi regime. Model's decision to dissolve his command marked the end of the war for his men, but he had no desire to face the aftermath of defeat. Faced with impending indictment for war crimes by the Soviets, including the deaths of hundreds of thousands in concentration camps, Model chose to take his own life. He shot himself in the head in a forest on April 21, 1945, between Duisburg and the village of Lintorf, now part of Ratingen. In conclusion, Walter Model's military prowess and strategic acumen during World War II earned him recognition as one of Germany's most formidable commanders. However, his allegiance to the Nazi regime and involvement in atrocities stain his legacy with controversy. Model's career highlights the complexities of leadership during times of conflict, where tactical brilliance can be overshadowed by moral ambiguity. Thanks for watching.